We often find comfort in being around people who are struggling, yet secretly resent the fact that their problems are being mirrored onto us. This phenomenon is rooted in a deeper insecurities that we've all witnessed, people desperately seeking validation from those who are broken themselves. Think back to the last time someone you know was constantly draining energy from you, yet seemed more invested in their own suffering than your well-being. In this video, we're going to delve into the hidden language of insecurity, uncovering the subtle yet insidious mechanisms of power, attachment, and emotional manipulation that control human behavior, often without us even realizing it. When we crave validation from others, we're inadvertently revealing our deep-seated insecurities, the ones we're desperate to keep hidden. In the relentless pursuit of power, individuals often sacrifice their emotional well-being to maintain a facade of control over others. Our attachment to validation can lead us down a path of emotional manipulation, forcing us to constantly seek the approval and admiration of those around us. The root of every romantic relationship lies not in love, but in the unshakable need for validation and security, as our primal instincts whisper to us that we're unworthy of love on our own merit. It's fascinating to see how our fear of abandonment can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, as our constant demands for reassurance push others away, validating our worst fears. Ego, the silent assassin of our self-awareness, blinds us to the depths of our own insecurities, convincing us that we're secure when in reality, we're just as vulnerable and uncertain as everyone else. When we engage with someone who has a disorganized attachment style, they often unconsciously trigger our own insecurities by mirroring the patterns of rejection and abandonment that we've experienced in the past. People with an anxious attachment style often feel the need to constantly validate and reassure their partner's ego, as this is a deep-seated way of coping with feelings of abandonment and rejection in previous relationships. However, what often gets overlooked in attachment theory is the role of emotional manipulation in shaping our relationships, the way people use our deep-seated fears and insecurities against us to exert control over our emotions and behavior. For individuals with an avoidant attachment style, the need for control and independence can sometimes mask a deep-seated fear of vulnerability and intimacy, which they may believe can only lead to feelings of rejection and abandonment. The most powerful form of emotional manipulation occurs when one person skillfully uses another person's attraction to them as a means of validation, effectively turning something as natural as attraction into a means of control over their partner's emotions and behavior. At the root of many relationship problems lies a deep-seated fear of rejection and abandonment that drives people to self-deceive themselves into thinking that they are capable of change, while also believing that their partner is somehow fundamentally flawed. When we're in a relationship, it's easy to mistake emotional manipulation for a demonstration of love, but the truth is, people tend to manipulate others to fill the void left by an unstable sense of self. Emotional manipulation often starts with a genuine desire for validation, but it quickly devolves into a desperate attempt to assert control over another person, often stemming from a deep-seated fear of rejection or abandonment. What we typically perceive as attraction in a relationship can actually be a manifestation of our own insecurity, a subconscious attempt to validate our own worth by being in love with someone who seems to love us back. When an individual becomes overly invested in another person's life, it's often a reflection of their own sense of inadequacy and a desperate desire for completion, rather than a genuine desire to connect with the other person. Behind a facade of love and concern, emotional manipulation masquerades as a protective behavior, an attempt to safeguard the other person from their own self-destruction. But in reality, it's often just a thinly veiled attempt to reinforce control over another person. At its core, emotional manipulation is a manifestation of an individual's deep-seated fear of being hurt, abandoned, or rejected, a primal response that stems from a profound lack of trust in oneself and one's own ability to navigate the world. When we attempt to deceive ourselves, we often create a distorted reality that's tailored to our insecurities and fears, making it impossible to distinguish between the truth and a carefully crafted facade. Deep down, we're all searching for validation, but our insecurities and deep-seated fears make us vulnerable to those who promise us a sense of control and security through emotional manipulation. Attachment issues stem from a need for validation and acceptance, which leaves us open to emotional manipulation by those who exploit our deepest insecurities for their own gain. Self-perception is a complex web of truth and deception, often influenced by our ego's desire for validation and control, which in turn fuels our insecurities and fears, creating a vicious cycle of self-deception. Our attachment to others is often rooted in a desire for emotional validation and a sense of security, but when we become too attached, we sacrifice our autonomy and self-respect, making us susceptible to emotional manipulation and control. The root of our insecurities often lies in a deep fear of abandonment, rejection, or loss of control, which creates a magnetic attraction to those who promise us the one thing we crave the most: validation and security, no matter the cost. Our insecurities often masquerade as virtues, convincing us of our own strength when in reality, they are a desperate cry for validation. Emotional manipulation is not about love or care, but rather a clever ruse to maintain control over the people we're supposed to be connecting with. You crave freedom, but the thought of losing the familiarity of a toxic relationship paralyzes you, trapping you in a cycle of codependency. The ego's primary function is to shield us from reality, but its overexertion can turn even the most innocuous interaction into a power struggle. Insecurity often masquerades as attraction, a veiled attempt to hook someone into providing validation we're unwilling to give ourselves. Self-deception is the ultimate defense mechanism, distorting our perceptions of reality and shielding us from confronting the true nature of our insecurities. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the hidden language of insecurity. As we've dug deeper into how power, attachment, and emotional manipulation can control human behavior, I ask you to reflect on where this might be playing out in your own life and how you can free yourself from its grasp. Don't forget to like this video, share your observations in the comments below, and subscribe for more in-depth analyses of human psychology.